Welcome. Today I wanted to take the time and be specific with a real life trade example to showcase you the approach that you should have and take when you are trading patterns. You will realize very quickly that as a trader, simply just looking at chart patterns and trying to trade what you see and identify is not enough to become successful. Okay? There are many elements you have to adopt in your trading to start seeing some results. By the way, click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you know when I release new content. Before I get into the video, I wanted to touch on a concept about simplicity. Like, I see that there's a lot of trading knowledge out there where people talk about everything having to be simple. Simplicity has become like a trend, but the thing is that it's not as much about simplicity as it is about finding the right balance between simplicity and complexity. Because just think about it for a second. If you trade too simplistically, you will not find any real results. And if you trade with too much complexity, you will probably find yourself overloaded with information. Right? But this is something that you have to figure out for yourself. You have to find the right balance, and therein the trading approach that fits you, your personality, your life, and your circumstances best. So, how does this concept of simplicity versus complexity fit into today's topic? Well, I will present a trade example with some variables that I use to validate and invalidate or confirm or whatever term you use the trade setup. Because when you are trading, you need to have specific trade setups backed by variables. And this is the part where you have to use a set of variables and figure out what variables that you want to emphasize in regards to your way of trading, your style. Okay, let's dive into the trade example. It will make way more sense. Let's take a look at my trading view profile. And I'm gonna look at this trade here that I posted, natural gas, where I posted some of the variables and my thought about this particular pair, or not pair, commodity. But let's see what happened for a second, right? We can see that it went up, but the interesting part is, and reason why I chose this, is because I think many traders have encountered this, let's call it challenge, where the direction of the trade, you have analyzed it and it goes your way, but perhaps you miss out on the trade because of this. For example, you see the trade made a lot more corrections afterwards before it actually flew up. Let's look at it again. See here, in this moment of time, my thought process was that the trade would go up, but instead it actually corrected more. So what happened and what was my thought process? Let's dive into that. Here we are. Let's take a look at natural gas and figure out how we can come to the conclusion that more upside is possible. So, my approach revolves around three main categories, which are preparedness, performance, and evaluation. And within these categories, there are a lot of steps that I take to frame and understand the trade and how I trade. The first step is preparedness. It's where I plan out and analyze and figure out what's the context, what's the narrative. And how do I do that? I do it by zooming out. I either start on a daily or weekly or monthly. In this case, we can see that we are at a very interesting level. We are about to break out of this structure here. So possible targets can include some highs, right? Price was interested in this area and interested up here. But for this video, I'm not gonna focus on price targets. I'm gonna focus on the thought process that made me take this trade and why I entered this trade and the performance aspect of the trade. So let's take a look at what variables are interesting for me, and actually there's something that I want to say about variables that I think is important to understand. Variables, maybe you know it by the name of confluence or the weight of the evidence. They are parameters to enhance the likelihood of our trading ideas success rate. Okay, or said differently, we use variables to heighten the odds of success, because when it comes to trading, we deal with probabilities. Okay, it's not about being right or wrong. If you have that mindset in trading, you will lose a lot of money. So get that right or wrong mindset as far away as possible. Okay, so now that's out of the way, and let's take a look at the variables. I'm here in the first step of the process, my process at least, is preparedness, where I first look at the higher time frame. I look at the higher time frame patterns, the trends, and how the structure is. Is it moving slowly? Is it moving in a trendy way? Is it moving in a corrective way? Etc. So this is where I start, the daily. I'm gonna go through it fairly quickly. So I see that we're in an uptrend, clearly, right? Structure right now, it's moving in a corrective way. If we go down to the 4 hour, we can clearly see that it's moving in a, it's not going impulsively to the downside. It's coming down, coming up, coming down, coming up, coming down, and broke out of this rectangle correction here. We bounced off this area, which is a demand zone. It's where we came up from. If we dig deeper and look at the volume, we can also see that this is an area with high volume, where volume was spiking. You can use volume profile to further analyze impulses if this is something that you're interested in. For example, the fixed range Tradingview indicator, where you pull it from one leg to another. Like I'm taking this impulse now, I want to see where all the volume is, right? So I can see that, okay, here is the highest volume point. Where's the next highest point? It's here and here. This is an area that price come down and touch and bounced off with a daily wick. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we're clearly bullish. And if this is, and it does look like a correction, there's a very high likelihood that we might come up here. Okay, so this is like the analysis, or like the way that I frame the trade, so I understand that I'm looking for buy opportunities. So I go back down to the 4 hour and my intraday chart, because just because the analysis is looking bullish does not mean that I'm gonna buy. Okay, now I have to look at the intraday strength, and here we clearly see that on the 1 hour this looks very bullish. Okay, we have an impulse, broke out of the structure and making what looks like a beautiful flat pattern here to go right up. Let's check out the volume. We see huge spike here, so we know that players entered here, came up, and again spiking on volume. And this is where I use other intraday tools as the VWAP, for instance. I look at VWAP, I'll go to the 50-minute chart, and I see, okay, we went right through it, right? Buy setups would most likely have been around this area. When you see this wick on an elevated volume, you have the higher time frame analysis, etc., etc. VWAP is a tool that you can use for a confirmation. Of course, nothing in trading is a 100% confirming kind of tool. It doesn't exist. You know, market moves as they move, and you have to use your indicators, your tools, as reference points. So everything is looking bullish right now. So here comes the interesting part, right? Why this trade might have been challenging, because we come up, then we wick again, it still looks good, okay, then we start coming down, it's a new day. Let's see here, yup, it's midnight, it's a new day. We're not really doing anything, still not doing anything. Let's take a look at 15-minute. If I was looking at this trade, you know, I have the higher picture in mind. I remember that we broke out, we made this flat, we're in a bigger trend going up, and there's a good likelihood that we are going up. But then you're on your intraday chart, structure is just not really doing anything. In this scenario, I would be thinking that, okay, most likely we're making some kind of little flat, and then we're gonna go up. That's my thought process. Let's see how it behaves around VWAP. Okay, spiked up, it's looking good. Looking good. I would, in this moment of time, I'm quite confident that upside is coming. Okay, we came up, nice. Breaking out of this high, this is good. This is really good. Now I want to see it hold these areas. Oh, and then something like this happened. Okay, what just happened, right? Expected upside, came right back down. Do we panic? Of course no, we don't. Like, literally, it has not moved anywhere yet. It's still in this, within this area. This here, if we just look from a perspective of patterns, this is what we have. There's still a strong likelihood that this is a pattern right here to go up, right? If this is to be true, I would love to see this come up above, retake VWAP again, and come up. Let's look at the volume. It's actually important to not forget. While we were breaking out and making new highs, another strong clue is, look at here, look at this, and look at the volume. Literally, no volume is backing this move here. That's another sign that, okay, we might not be going yet. So for this to come up and break out and give us that uptrend, I want to see volume spiking now. I want to see some growth here, elevation. And this pattern, for this to be fulfilled, I'm looking at this point here around VWAP. Let's see if it comes up and if it can hold VWAP and continue up. Like, this is my thought process. So what does this mean? If I take a buy, let's say I take a buy setup here, with everything that I've told you, right? I would have a tight stop right there, because I'm not looking for this to come down. If it comes down, then that's not the trade that I want. So let it play out. Let's just see. Let's see. Yeah. Yep. It looks like it couldn't. It did not come out. Look, it just comes down, right? So this is where I want to emphasize that we cannot really predict or forecast the markets, because markets will be random. But what we have to do is identify the markets as we trade them. And look at this. Look at the 4 hour, right? 4 hour structure, still looking good. There's nothing is telling me yet that we are going down. If we are to come down, then I want to see this spike down and make bearish kind of structure. But as of this moment, it's all good. It's all good. We just need to wait and be patient and identify in real time what is happening. So now we, at this point here, I see like, okay, there's some volume, you know, nothing crazy. Mostly I'm probably looking at volume profile as well and monitoring like where is all the volume, like in this piece here. I'm interested to see where it would pull back to, like where would we see some interest. Okay, this is actually the highest point of volume in this area. Interesting. Let's see what it does at this area. And then I let it, oh, come on, there we go. Then I'm still watching, right? I'm still bullish. Okay, spiking right back up at this level. VWAP, what are we doing? Oh, we flew right back up. So let's just stop here, because now I'm thinking, okay, if I was in the trade from this area or this area, you know, then I don't have to worry too much. But if I'm late to the party and I took a trade here, took a loss, then it spiked right back up aggressively, there's two choices now, because we're still bullish. Everything is looking bullish. Like this here just is a confirmation in itself that buyers are present on a volume spike. And we just looked a second ago, right, that from this point here to this point here, the highest area where all the volume is was right here, and we reversed, right? So buyers are just sitting and waiting. You have two choices. Put in an entry order somewhere up here, because there is a possibility, you know, I can't read the future, that price might just go up. Or be patient and look at this structure and think, okay, we got one wave, we got two wave, there's a possibility that a third wave is coming down, and then we will go. So I will look to buy somewhere here, or do both. Have an entry order in case, and be patient and sit and wait. So let's see what is gonna happen. Okay, it came down, third leg. This is another great buy opportunity. Just look at how the structure gives you opportunities to enter. It just gives you opportunities to enter if you are patient and you wait. This is another possible little flat. Where would your stop be? Just below the structure. With an entry here, we coming above VWAP. Like, look at this volume spike. Interest is pouring in, and you know that you're bullish still. Your analysis is still okay and good to go. Like, everything is looking good overall. So now you're here. Okay, what's happening? Bang. Came down. You said again. But it doesn't matter. It's part of the game. And so what if it took you out. Doesn't matter. Then you wait again. You're still patient. You know the volume is elevated. Okay, wait, what? Oh, look at this. Spiking up, came down. Here, you would be thinking, okay, came strongly down after hitting VWAP. That's not a good sign. That's a bearish, and we have elevated volume. So, no buying now. You have to sit, be patient, and wait. Because, like, how would you, like, there's nothing to do. Structure's developing, you're patient, you're waiting. But notice how we're not going anywhere either. Like, we're still in this area. And this is a high volume area. A lot of volumes being traded around here. So if we can hold these levels, then you know that there's a very, very good likelihood that this demand zone area will hold and buyers are just accumulating and positioning themselves before the big move comes. Because nothing moves in straight lines. This is where most traders, they panic and are so stressed and lose a lot of money because they think that they can just buy something and it just moves. It doesn't work like that. All of this right now, me going through the price action, this is the performance part of trading. This is the second phase of my trading approach, where you have to perform in real time. Look at the variables, follow the process, look at how the price action is developing and adapt to the development of the price action. Okay, it's like so far, if you've taken a buy here, that's like, let's say you're risking 1% of your account, that's 2% loss. And now we're sitting and waiting. And this is if you were entered late. Like, you could have bought around these areas or around these areas and still be sitting in the trade. So at this point, let's let it play out. What is the time? It's in the evening. Okay, so not much. Oh, look at this. Right here, I would be looking at this low. And if we break below this, then I would be thinking that we are most likely bearish now. If we come below this, start correcting, then I would be looking at this as a three-wave correction to the downside. But as of this moment, I'm still bullish, even though we're below VWAP and wicking, because I know that the higher frame structure is bullish. The trend is up on the higher time frame. We had this correction, we broke out of it, and now we're making some possible kind of complicated corrections. So I would still be waiting patiently. Let's see. Okay. This is in the middle of the night or in the evening. Usually there's not a lot, nothing will really happen probably. First in the morning, as that was a new day. Move it. Oh, coming down. This is very low volume, no volatility. Like, does this look bearish? Does this look bearish? If you just look at the price action. Oh, here we go. Now this is interesting. Right at this area where volume was clearly elevated and buyers entered the market, we get a reaction. Here they entered, pressed it up on volume. We came down to that point and we're spiking after a period of no volume, but price is still decreasing. That's clearly a sign of divergence and clearly a bullish sign. So look, spiked up above VWAP. Another good point to buy. If we can hold, like if we stay above VWAP, that's great. Let's look. Let's look. Coming down again, or are we? This here could be a little flat pattern. Nope, it wasn't. Oh, this here, okay, came strongly above VWAP. We made a retest again, second test that we rejected. This is another great buy opportunity with a stop below this area. Let's see. Okay, okay, now we're suddenly moving. Let's take a look at the higher time frame picture now. Or actually, let's go back for a second, because the structure has not finished playing with all the traders' emotions out there. Say you got this buy down here, you have your stop around here. So this is where we are. You could either take some partial profits. It's always a good idea to take profits to pay yourself, because markets are always right. We don't know what the market will do. Markets are random. This is why we have to protect ourselves and the way we trade. Volumes elevated, we came up. My thought process is now we made a lot of correction. We're going, right? But still, you don't know that will happen, which is why pay yourself. Have a strategy where you take partial profits to ensure that your account and that your psychology is on the good side of things, that it is sound, that your mental is strong. Because let's look, just because I already know, I already traded this, I know what happened. Bang, it came right back down. This is the perfect example of why traders should pay themselves and why a strategy where you have partial profit taking is important, because you never know what will happen, literally. And these crazy moves that sometimes happen in trading, they happen like almost never. That's not the part of the game. That is just you being lucky. But let's get back to this intraday performance part of what is happening. Here, in this moment of time, I would be a bit unsure of what's happening. I actually most likely would be thinking that we're coming down now, because we should be going up, right? Structure has been moving like this and it's just going absolutely nowhere. So I would have closed my trades probably around this area when I saw, okay, we're coming right back down again into structure. But for this to actually come down, I would need to see some kind of corrective structure here. So I would not touch this right now. I would just be patient and see what will happen. Came back down again to this area. Okay, get a reaction, makes sense. This is a lot of demand, a lot of volume is being traded here. Okay, came below VWAP. Volume is clearly elevated. So we might be making a correction to come down now.
but I am remembering still the higher time frame. I know that we broke out of this correction and we're still, look, holding these levels. And if you've traded natural gas as much as I have, then your experience and intuition would kick in, because this is something that constantly happens in natural gas. This is a pattern that happens here, where at lows or highs, often natural gas makes this beautiful looking flat. And you think it would go, but instead it makes like a double flat scenario, where it makes one flat here, comes up and makes another flat, and then it takes off. It's like a accumulation period. So here, look at the spike. Elevated volume, back to this demand area. I would be buying again. Especially if we then start coming above VWAP and VWAP starts trending up, then I would have more confidence in this trade. And remember, the higher time frame analysis is still the same. Nothing has changed yet. But the trade has just not come to us yet. Or at least it has to come, but there's a possibility. So we're here. I would be in this trade again already and have a stop below this area again. That's just how I do it, right? But everyone has to figure out for themselves how they trade. See, I would be thinking maybe one more down, and then if it starts coming up, or it could just go, and it did. Okay. See, this is another possible buy opportunity. Yup, a little flag, another retest of VWAP maybe. Let's see what happens. At VWAP, pulls away from VWAP, came back to VWAP, come down, trade is still on, coming back up to VWAP, starting. Okay, this is another buy opportunity, starting to wick. This is good. Yeah, another good trade. This time though, I would be moving stops. And now, if you were here, look at this. This was the little flat that we just noticed. I would be waiting for it to break this top, and then I would see what would happen up here.
So, I'm gonna end it here. But if you want to learn more about this way of trading or this style of trading and want me to make more videos of this kind, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and comment below to let me know what you would like to see more of. Thanks for watching.